Hey, ladies, welcome to another episode of the Revitalized Womanhood podcast. And my guest today is my friend Katie Millett. And we met here in Southern Utah because she owned the most adorable baby boutique out of her house. And I don't even know how, I found you. I don't even know how we got together, how I found you, whatever. But after that, it was just like, okay. And if anyone knows Katie, you know that when you meet her, you're just instantly feel like you've been best friends for 10 years. And it's just like, oh, we're just now best friends. It's even if we haven't talked for a couple years, we haven't, other than Instagram, we haven't really talked. And it's honestly one of those things where I could just seriously ask you a question or ask you a favor and you'd be like, oh, absolutely. What can I do for you? You are seriously the sweetest. I will get into what the point of this episode is, but will you first just please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, geez. I need to
where do you begin?
Shit. Okay, so my name is Katie. I have lived in St. George for, I think, almost, 15 years. So for a good amount of time. When I met you, I was running a cute little boutique out of my house. I have always had this desire to be just bring in my own income. My husband makes great money, but I've always wanted to bring in my own income also, just have a little spending money that I can kind of do whatever I want with. And so after I had kids, I stopped working full time. And I decided to do something from home. So I just barely had a baby, and my struggle was I couldn't find cute boy clothes. Everything was trucks and weird, just I didn't like any of it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to find some cute neutral things and I'm just going to do it myself. So I started JoJo and Ford and ran that for a while. And then 2020 was weird. The world was weird, and I ended up shutting that down and looking for a new opportunity. So that's, I don't know.
That's you in a nutshell, huh?
Forget that we're going to talk about kind of what I did.
We are.
So,
oh yeah, we're going to talk about it. So the point, ladies, the point of this episode, my intention for this episode was I was just inspired as I was going back through and Insta stalking you, because it's been a minute since I've been up to date on you, so I'm like, you know what, this girl, this woman, she is resilient. She has this kind of desire, and you recognize the importance of finding something for yourself, whether it's a hobby, whether it's work, this desire, and you recognize the importance of having something that is your own, that you can put into, that has nothing to do with your husband, that has nothing to do with your kids, and works alongside them, that you're prioritizing everything, but you realize the importance of, you are a woman. That's important. Yeah. If you keep just a label as I'm a mom or I'm a wife, then that's when we lose ourselves, because you're losing yourself in this label of something that we don't really know what it is. We don't really know what a wife is. I mean, you have the general basic knowledge of what you've been exampled, what you've been shown, what you see on social media, what you see, around town. You get the idea, but there's no real definition. You couldn't sit down with a instruction manual and it says step 1 to being a wife, step 1 to being a mom, right? We're all just figuring it out. Have you seen those reels where it's like, dear firstborn, I learned how to be a mom with you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry and thank you because I learned how to be a mom with you. That's the same to our husbands. That's the same for them with us as wives. It's there's no manual. So I love to talk about the importance of continuing to find passion. So that's part 1, the importance of having something. But part 2 I love about you is recognizing when something's not working for you, or just it's lived out its season, and you move on to something else. You find something else. That is the coolest thing to me, because so often people feel like, I hear women say it all the time, that they feel like, oh, I can't do it. If I can't do it 100%, I'm not even going to try, because that's just how I am. If I can't do it 100%, I'm not even going to try. Or I don't know if that'd really be for me, so I'm just not going to try. Or they're in something and they do it to death because they feel like they have to. They feel stuck to it. They feel completely just strapped to it. And it's like, no, that there's so many roads in the world. I mean, if you're going down the wrong road, you don't keep going down the wrong road. You don't end up in New York when you're trying to go to California.
Yeah.
You turn around, you get off the road and you get on a different road. So that is what I really love about you. But you know what? I want to talk about, you have a very interesting beginning, you and your husband. You did not start your marriage in St. George, right? You started, well, you may have started here, but you were living in Russia.
Yeah, so we lived in Russia for like a year, which was crazy. And luckily when 2020 happened, we ended up coming home. I was about to have a baby. So my baby, my little guy, he was born on January 1st of 2020. So hello, baby. And then hello, like the world shut down like a couple weeks later. So he was home. We were back in town to have the baby, and then the world shut down. And so we didn't end up going back over. And then he ended up just starting his own business from home, which has been absolutely amazing. So blessing in disguise. We haven't been back over there since, and he has his own business now, and he's able to work from home. It's so nice. And yeah, it was crazy though. It's so different than what everyone thinks. Like, it is not this scary Cold War. Like, I think it honestly is super safe. It is so clean. Like, there are people constantly cleaning the streets, and there's the safety, the rules. Like, I don't know. Everyone has this crazy idea about it, but I think they have something positive going on. Like, I don't know.
I love that.
We can do a whole different episode on that.
But you know what? I love that. I love that's a glimpse into what the difference between what we presume about life versus what it actually is. So this goes right on topic. The difference of what we presume or what we expect motherhood or womanhood or being a wife to be, and then all of these things that come up, and it's different. It's like, oh, okay, this is actually different. And we figured this out when we were traveling tons. Like, we would be in places like, we went to Albania last year. We went to Albania for the first time, and they only started allowing tourism 9 years ago. It was closed to anybody outside. Like, you had to be Albanian to be in Albania. And so that was really interesting to me. And so my idea of it was very, like, for me, because all I could relate to it was like Tijuana, like Mexico, right? Mm-hmm. Like something like that. And it was really beautiful. It did have similar infrastructure situations, but the people were very kind. They were very nice. I did still feel weird because, again, it was not normal, not known. It was unknown. But it really was fun. It was beautiful, and we had a great time. And so I love that you have that as an example of what Russia, because that is what people think about Russia, is Cold War, cold, people are mean, dark, dreary. That's
such a good learning experience for me, though. Like, literally, how would you feel if your husband came home and was like, hey, we're going to move to Russia?
Right.
It's like, sure. I don't want to move there with my child. And
we're moving to North Korea.
Like, growing up in Utah, too, and growing up very family oriented and like close to my parents, and literally like any situation that I had, I would call my parents for help. And so it was so good for me to move there and to have to rely on myself. And I feel like that was the first time that I really started to become independent. And it was really just me and my spouse. Like, that's all we had. We didn't have, like, we did have some friends there, but it was really just us. And even like calling into the United States, like completely different time zones. So I would talk to my mom at like 6 a.m. in the morning there, and it would be like nighttime here. And I didn't ever talk to my friends really, like maybe a little bit through social media, but like I couldn't text them. I didn't have a phone that would work. So I would use like WhatsApp.
Right.
And it was such a good learning experience. And I look back on it now, and it was so scary and so hard at the time. But like, I'm so grateful for it. Such a
Do
good,
you
like,
feel like
early.
that I was gonna say, do you feel like that was one of the pieces of the foundation of what makes you so resilient in being willing to try new things? Be willing to say, "Yeah, that didn't work out. What's the next thing?"
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I always think about hard situations that I've been through, and I look at them and I say, I made it through that. I can make it through something else. And I even something as simple as um, I have I get really bad anxiety. And so sometimes something will come up and it will just trigger me into like, oh my gosh, like worst case scenario. And I will think about one situation that is so stupid, but it was so I don't know. Anyways, I flew home from Russia by myself with my baby who was I think she was 15 months old. It's a 15-hour flight. We sat in coach, and she didn't sleep the whole way. And it was rough. But now I
Every
look back
mom
on it.
just, like,
Yeah,
cringed for
I
you.
look back on it and I was like, I made it through 15 hours on a flight with a 1.5-year-old who didn't sleep in coach. I can make it through anything. Like, I can make it through a situation that's an hour of hard because I did 15 hours of terrible.
That's
So,
I love that because do you know what? That probably sticks with you more because think about labor. That's what
oh,
we do when we're giving birth. That's
yeah,
what but we forget. We forget
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
We don't think about it as something that was like, "Oh, I survived that." You
But we
know?
should.
But youth we should. We definitely should. I think God has, like, blessed us with some sort of a veil that's like, "Nope, you won't remember that, or else we'd never have more kids." But but for this situation, it was so traumatic for you that it imprinted this feeling of, "I survived that." Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
And I
not
think
silly.
if people would remember that, like, think about when you're going through something hard, like, think about other situations that you've been through that are hard. It's like, did you make it through? Yes, you will make it through again. Like, you are so I think our we're so much more powerful than we think we are, and so many times we just limit ourselves. We're like, "You know what? It's gonna be hard. I'm not gonna try." And so we just don't do it, like, exactly what you were saying earlier. Oh, like, I see so many people that are like, I've never done a business before. I don't think I could do it. It's not for me. So I'm not going to try. And it's like, okay, but you're sitting in a dead end job that you hate, or you don't have any money. You can't provide for your family, but you're not willing to try something else. You're just going to stay stuck. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You fail and you're back to where you were at before. Just
Right. I
you
mean,
can
the worst that can happen, you can work at McDonald's. I mean, literally, and that's not even worst. That's not
yeah,
even worst. But
yeah,
there are so many jobs out there that you can go get while you're bridging the gap into
yeah,
finding what's gonna really work for you and what's gonna be a passion for you. I agree. I think people just aren't willing to do the work. That's interesting you brought that up because our monthly topic this month so in my community, the Revitalized Sisterhood, each month I create like a monthly topic that usually goes with a book of the month that we read, but this month I took off the book. But so this month we are doing this was so near and dear to me because I'm just coming out of my first trimester of I thought I'm like one step above death through this whole first trimester. I've never experienced this before. I have 3 other kids. I've never experienced this kind of sickness, this kind of I'm convinced it was, prenatal depression. I mean, I've only once felt this way before, and it was when I had postpartum depression with my 3rd baby after a traumatic C-section. Like, that's how I can relate to this. So I created this monthly topic about our minds and bodies, and are we taking them for granted when we are at our prime health, our prime our fittest our mind is, our fittest our body is, whatever level that looks like. I mean, some people's level is, they're all obviously different, but whatever
Yep.
your natural normal, your prime ideal state, are you even using it to the best of its ability? Or are you taking it for granted? Like our minds, we could be reading all the time. We could be taking in so much more information. We could be doing Sudoku. We could be creating hobbies, like creating art, creating music, learning a new language. Like, what are we doing? And same with our bodies. So often we're like, oh, that would just be so hard to get up and go for a walk, which I get. Sometimes that's fine. You need a break. But otherwise, and you don't really appreciate it until you are in those situations where it's like, I took that for granted.
Yep.
I took that for granted and I will never take it for granted again. And then you find yourself back to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so easy
so
to
that's exactly what this monthly topic is about this month that we're talking about. So let's get into a question here. How was integrating your work pursuits into your life as a stay-at-home mom? How has that enriched your overall sense of fulfillment? How does that make you feel empowered each day?
Well, I think it goes back to what you were saying before, that like it's so important to find something that gives you purpose outside of being a mom and being a wife. And when you're like, I felt there was probably 9 months, I think, between shutting down JoJo and Ford and starting my next venture, that I was just like, I have no purpose. And you truly lose yourself. Exactly what you said. Like, all you're doing all day is picking up one mess and moving it to another place, or making dinner, or just doing things for other people. And you completely lose yourself. And that is when like mental health issues come in. I think it's so important for women and men too, but for people to have something for themselves, because if not, you truly are going to lose your happiness. Like, hands down, you have to have something for yourself outside of your family.
Have you ever felt, this is interesting because I have never felt this way. And so I'm curious, have you ever felt that this kind of like guilt creep in from doing something like this for yourself, from starting these things or having these other things for yourself? Have you ever felt like you weren't being the best mom you could be, or you weren't being the best wife you could be, the guilt from it?
I think every once in a while when I don't balance things well. So like yesterday, for example, like I was on a call from 10 to 11, 11 to 12, and then 12 to probably 1:30. And when I have back to back to back, that doesn't give me time to like prioritize my kids and to really especially when it's back to back like that. Like, I don't have a break in between to be like, hey, what do you need? Can I help you? And then it's like they turn to watching TV the whole day. So I think that as long as I'm able to prioritize things and balance the work life and family life, I don't feel that. But it's all on me to create the balance. So I think that's
when
where
you're not good with your boundaries, you're not being good with your boundaries.
And that's where people make the mistake, is when they're not balancing it. They're doing too much work, too much home life. So you need to create, I think scheduling is great. Blocking out times. I know it can be so hard for people, but literally if you just get a piece of paper or a calendar and you block off times, okay, this is when I'm available. So like we're scheduling right now, this is when my kids are at summer camp. So I'm free between 9 and 12. And after that, my focus is on my family. So
I love that you said it like that, because when I first started this company and the podcast and everything like that, and I was trying to get guests on the podcast, I was like, I have to be just available. And when I was trying to get members, I have to just be available to them. I have to just be available. That's my job. That's what I'm doing here. Like, people won't want to do this if they don't get me like full access to me. And it's taken time, but I mean, it was quick to figure out. But it was like, wait a minute. No, if I shut my schedule down to what is actually appropriate for what I can do, people will book in those time slots.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Like, I don't have to be 100% available. People will recognize, oh, she's only available this time. It may not work next week. It may not work in 2 weeks, but it'll work in 3 weeks,
Yep.
right? You just have to figure that out. But you have to set those boundaries. You have
Yep.
to recognize, listen, prioritize, values. This is what it is. Family comes first.
Yep.
And then the rest you can fill in. Who was it? Ed Milet. Ed Milet said, long time ago, when I very first started this, he was talking about how he sets his calendar, how he creates his calendar. And he says, my value is my family first. So
Yep.
I sit down at the first of every week or at the first of every month, whatever, first of the year, whatever. If I know that there are things that need to go in for my family first, he says, date night with my wife, date night with my daughter, going golfing with my son, those instantly go in first. That way, everything else fills in around that time. I don't have to try to be like, hey, son, when can we go golf? Ugh, I just really have a busy schedule.
Yep.
Same with
Yep.
James Clear. He's the Atomic Habits, right? And he says that he doesn't set goals or New Year's resolutions at the first of the year. He prioritizes his values. So he judges his schedule by, like, here, what's my value? Okay, say your number one value is your family. Well, if you have a commitment that comes in and it's like, oh, you're going to miss your daughter's recital, then it's an obvious no. He's like, I made that hard line drawn in the sand from the beginning. It's a hard no. That's not going to disrupt this because this is my value. This is my priority.
So good. And that is
So good.
where you are going to keep yourself from feeling the outside pressures, is you just have to prioritize and use a schedule. Like, I know schedules can be so hard for people, but if you can utilize that and block out times, it's going to make all the difference.
So what was it in you? Because I have boys and I did not, and I know that finding boy clothes is so hard. That's why I was so excited when I found you. And I did not start a company because I couldn't find boy clothes, but you did. You took it to the next level. What was it that you were like, well, this is for the birds. I'm just going to start my own business.
So when I was 16 years old, I got a job at Claire's.
Mhm.
So I worked in retail. And then when I moved to St. George, I got a job at a clothing company or clothing store in the outlets. And I worked in clothing all the way through college. So I put myself through college working in retail. So it was secondhand to me. I knew how to do it. I knew how to go online and purchase items. I did buying for my other companies. So like I already knew how to do all of that. And I knew what the markups were on things. That's another thing that was bugging me is you would see cute neutral boutiques, but they would
So
mark their stuff
expensive.
up like 4 to 5 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not okay. Like, yes, you have to make money, but you don't need to make 5 times the money on the amount that you're paying. If something's $4.50 when you're buying it, you shouldn't be selling it for $40. Like that's not okay. So I wanted to create a place that people could buy things that were affordable, yet they were cute. And I knew I could do that. I'm also, I don't know if you've gotten into human design a lot. I'm a manifester. So
I've heard of it. I've had a couple people bring it to me because I just got into the Enneagram when I started this. So I spent a whole year being really into the Enneagram. And then I had like 3 people in the same week. It was really weird. Bring up human design and be like, don't you know your human design? What? Haven't you heard about it? And I'm like, wow, this is weird. Like all of a sudden it's just like boom, 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 boom. This is something
yeah,
I need to look into.
you should. I'm a manifester. So it means when I get an idea of something, like I just make it happen. So I'm the type that, I'm gonna open a clothing boutique and it will be open and running within a month. So I don't always do things the most logical and most efficient way, but I always get it done. So I think just part of me was like, okay, like I can't find what I'm looking for, so I'm going to make it happen. And I kind of have I think with my husband, he's very entrepreneurial and he has this business sense and I'm like competitive with him in a way. Like I don't make nearly as much money as him, but I love that I can be like, hey, guess how much money I made today? And he can be like, guess how much money I made today? And I love having that. I love being able to like stand next to him and be like, hey, like I'm bringing in money for our family too, you know?
Yeah.
So I think part of my makeup.
Yeah. Just who you are.
Yeah.
Well, so can you share a personal journey or experience where trying different hobbies or different ventures has led you to closer to a passion?
Yeah, so let's talk about what I'm doing now.
Yes.
Um, so we let's see. So I shut down JoJo and Ford. I was looking for something new, and I just didn't know what it was because I wanted to be home with my kids. I wanted to figure out a way to make money from my home, but I wanted it to be something that I was passionate about. So I went to school for psychology is what I graduated in. And I ended up getting a job for Southwest Behavioral Health Center, and I worked in the prevention department. So we're going a whole different direction than retail.
Right.
Um, but I worked in prevention, and the biggest thing that I did is I would go into the schools and I would work with kids on their social skills. And I would work with them specifically in building social skills so they wouldn't go and do things that are considered antisocial behaviors. So negative behaviors, underage drinking, underage drug use, suicide, uh, just anything that would kind of like bring a negative light into their life. And what we know is that kids who have good social skills and good abilities to adapt to change, those are the kids that are able to not get involved with those type of things. So I would go into the schools and kids would volunteer themselves into my classes. And I just built rapport with them and I loved it. It was so that I feel like that is my purpose in life. Like I love helping kids figure out how to do life and help them with their mental health specifically. Um, so I was doing that, and then I started focusing specifically on suicide prevention. And I was working with the local Hope Squads, which is your suicide prevention group that is in most of the schools. And suicide prevention became so important to me. So I learned through this job that I didn't really know what it was when I started, but I kind of developed a love for all of it.
Right.
And so when I was in this period, like 2 years ago, where I was like, what am I doing with my life? I just kept coming back to I want to help people. Mental health is important to me. I would love to share suicide prevention. I would love to do something in the community or something that will help people with their behaviors, with their mental state, all of that. So I'm looking for something that I could do from home that's going to help people with their mental health, that's going to bring me a sense of purpose. And something, my big goal was bringing in $5,000 a month. And so I had these qualifications, these things that I really wanted. And every day I would focus on figuring out something that would bring that. And so it's so interesting. I truly believe in manifestations. Like I said, I'm a manifester.
Mhm.
But every day this was my focus. And one day I was having a really rough day. In this time period, my family went through a really traumatic event. And I was also just trying to create a sense of safety within myself. And I knew that was going to come from me. I couldn't find safety from another person. I could not find safety from my spouse. Or from my parents. It really was going to be my own inner work. And I knew finding something for myself that had all of those qualifications would help me feel a sense of safety. And so I was having a really rough day, and my friend texted me and she was like, hey, come over to my house. I've got a drink that I want you to drink, and it's going to help you. It's going to help you feel better today. And I was like, okay, that's super blingy and super weird. But I trusted her and I was like, okay, like, I know she's not going to give me like alcohol or something, but I was like, okay, like, whatever, I'll come over. You can explain this to me. So I go to her house and she's like, I have this drink. It's called Happy Juice. And I was like, okay, like, that is the weirdest name, but okay. And she was like, it is a drink that is focused on your gut health. And what we know about your gut is all of your serotonin, your dopamine, your GABA, all those happy hormones, they're created in your gut. So if your gut is struggling, if it's full of toxins, and if you're eating junk, your body's not producing the happy hormones that you need. And that's when you're going to struggle with your mental health. So she was like, I have this drink. It's a probiotic, prebiotic, phytobiotic. And it's going to help you with your gut, and that's going to help you with your head. Drink the drink. It's going to make you feel better. And I was like, okay. She was like, it's not going to work right away, but I want you to take it for 30 days and let's see how it works. And I was like, okay, this is an interesting concept. Like, I'm going to have to look more into this. But I drank the drink, and that night, my anxiousness didn't keep me awake for 2 to 3 hours like it was doing. I was able to fall asleep within 30 minutes. And so I was like, okay, maybe there's something to this. So the next day I was doing a bunch of research, learning about this product, learning about the company. The company is called Amari. They consider themselves the mental wellness company. And right then I was like, okay, like these things are aligning with what I want, what I'm looking for. And she called me later that day. It's so crazy. She called me later that day and she said, hey, I want you to sign up as a consultant and I want you to sell this drink with me. And I was like, I've never done anything like this before. Like, I've done sales, but I've done in-person sales. And this type of sales was network marketing. And network marketing is generally done through social media.
Right.
And at that point in time, I was like, I have 500 followers on my page. Like, I know how to make a page because I made one for JoJo and Ford and I had a pretty good following there. But I have a personal page now and there's 500 followers. Like, I can't sell this. I went back to what we were saying earlier, saying to myself, like, I can't do this. I've never done it before.
Right.
But she goes,
the fear
yeah,
starts to take over.
So she is a pretty well-known influencer in this area. And she goes, I will help you. All you have to do is drink the drink, get on your stories every day and tell people how it's affecting you. She said, it's going to fall into place. I know you need to do this, so just sign up. So I said, okay. And I signed up and I made a vow to myself that day that I was going to give the drink the 90 days. They say to try it for 90 days to really get a full look at like the changes that your body could have, or like a full
be really mindful and intentional about what's changing.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give it 90 days. And in that 90-day period, I'm going to work my hardest to make a business of this because it does fit with everything that I want. I can do it from my phone. I'm helping people. It's mental wellness related. I might not know everything about it, but I'm going to work really hard to learn about the ingredients and learn about how it can help people. And I know that there's potential to make $5,000 a month with this. So the company has a really cool starting bonus where if you get 5 people to order the drink from you, you get $500. It's awesome. And that was my goal. Like, in the first month, I was like, I'm going to make $500. I'm going to pay off my initial investment of, it was $208 to get the drink and to get my membership.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my goal. I did all the things that I told myself I would do, and I made $1,000 that first month. I signed up in March and then worked really hard. April, May, June, July, hit diamond with the company, which is the top 1%. So, yeah. So it was so aligned with everything that I want and I wanted. And I was making that $5,000 a month. I think in June was the first time I hit that. So March, April, May, June, in 4 months, I worked hard. I kept my eyesight exactly in what I wanted. And I did all of the things that I told myself I was going to do. And it took 4 months and I was at that $5,000. And it's so crazy. I think if you really believe in yourself, first of all, set the goals and stick to them. Tell yourself you're going to do something and actually do it. You will see change. And if you work hard at something, it is going to work for you. And that is what I saw happen. And It's been a year and a half now that I'm with this company, and I'm doing Zoom calls. I'm training women. I've got almost 4,000 people underneath me and my team. And it has been such a journey, so much growth for me on a personal level. And now I've found a new passion that is it kind of back to what I was doing before with kids, but it's coaching. I love
Right.
coaching. I love working with women and focusing on mindset. Exactly what we're talking about here. Like, you don't tell yourself, I hope I can make that $500. You say, I'm going to make that $500, and here's what I'm going to do to get me there. And then you
Right.
follow those steps and you work, and it's going to work back for you. And so like taking that first step though, yes, I was fearful. And yes, I had to pay $200 for something. I wasn't sure what it was exactly.
Yeah, you had
But
to have some skin in the game. You had to invest in yourself. You gotta
yeah,
invest a little bit. You gotta prove to yourself that you are worth this
yeah,
investment.
yeah. And without risk, there doesn't come reward, right? So
Yep.
I went full force, and I'm so grateful that I did, because I truly have created such a great income for me and my family. I literally the other day, my kids told me, Mom, we really want purple workout clothes. My daughter's 6, and she wanted to teach her little brother who's 4 how to do yoga, but they wanted purple workout clothes. So we went to lunch that day right by Dick's. We went to Habit, and I was like, let's go into Dick's and see what kind of clothes they have. And I literally dropped $300 on purple Nike workout gear for my kids. And that's freedom to me. Being
Yeah.
able to not look at them and be like, sorry, like I don't have extra money to buy you purple workout clothes. And I
Yeah.
didn't have to spend $300. I could have gone to Target and probably got purple
But
workout
you
clothes.
could have. I mean, you did it. It was something you did. You were able to do. It wasn't something you thought about. But I love that you said that's freedom to you. That's a
That is
definition of
freedom.
freedom to you.
Yep.
That is, I actually had said that to Rick. Gosh, where were we? What were we doing? Whatever. I was just laying there. I think we were in San Diego. We went to San Diego just on a whim over the 4th of July, and I think I was laying there, and we got a really nice hotel room, and which is very different from how we used to travel. It used to be very like we had to be very frugal with everything we were doing, because especially the way we were traveling was long term. It was like
Yeah.
what we used to spend an average of $7,000 a month, which is very frugal for a family of 4, 5, whatever, to be out of the country traveling for an entire month, $7,000, which now we probably spend around 10. But I was laying there and I thought, this is so different from when we lost everything in the recession, right? When it was like we couldn't afford gas, we couldn't afford food, we couldn't afford, luckily we had family that was helping us and we were living in their basement, but we weren't trying to be mooches, we were trying to still work and pay our own way, but we were eating ramen noodles. And I laid there and I thought, freedom is, I literally have, I can't remember the last time I looked at what my receipt said at the grocery store.
Yeah.
I don't look at my receipts, or it doesn't cross my mind that I have to fill up my car with gas, because I just do. I just
Yeah.
have to. Like, it's
Yeah.
just a thing. But he jokes about it. He's like, you don't even think about this, but I really don't. I don't.
Yep.
He has given me that freedom that I don't have to. And I said, thank you for that. That's huge. That's huge. Not everyone can say that. I realize that that's not something that a lot of people can say. And so I love that you said that's a freedom. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. It
And for
doesn't
me,
matter what it was for, but it was to you. That was a freedom that you were able to create that for yourself.
yeah. And that's also safety to me. Like, we
Mhm.
talk so often about money doesn't buy happiness. It does not buy happiness. That's 1000% true. But it does buy freedom. Like,
It does make things easier.
it makes things so much easier. Like, without money, it is so stressful. It is so hard. And I truly believe that every person can take something that they're passionate about and they can monetize it. And that was my whole goal in the beginning, was taking a passion of mine and figuring out how to monetize it. And I was thinking about it every single day and learning and trying to figure out what I could do. And I truly believe on another topic, I believe that the universe is going to match the energy that we're giving out. And that was my intention. That's what I was putting out into the universe that I really, really wanted. And that's what was brought to me. And I'm so grateful that I was able to realize that that could happen if I really focus so hard on something and I want for it and I imagine what it's going to look like for me and I have everything written down to a T, that when that is here, I can grab onto it and I know exactly what it is and I know
You
exactly
recognize it.
it's scary and it's hard and it's different than anything I've ever done before. And I'm probably going to make a ton of mistakes along the way. But I know it can be all of the things that I want, and so I'm gonna go for it. So that's
I love it. Yeah, everything you're saying is so interesting to me because you can really see a difference in the people you work with, and I'm sure you feel the same way because you're coaching now and you've got all these people under you, you've got this whole community, and it's like you really can see the difference between people that want things versus people who will actually do the work to get those things. You know, you have people who say they want this scenario, they want this outcome, and it's like, okay, we'll do what you're saying, write it down, visualize it. Like for us, our goal setting, we set 90-day goals. And in the beginning of it, like I have a free 30-day email series on my website called 4 Weeks to the Fresh Start. And in the beginning of it, it teaches you how to create that vision, how to create that. And it really is, it has to be emotionally charged. It has to have the feeling in it. Like you have to be able to eat, like almost smell what the hotel room's going to smell like when they bring in your croissant and coffee in the morning in Paris and you're looking out at the Eiffel Tower. You have to be able to get that into that vision to be able to really set that emotionally charged why that goes underneath it, that will push you through those hard bumps and bruises. I wanted to ask you, before you found this, when you were working, and maybe it didn't happen this way when you found Southwest, maybe it was before you even found Southwest, but in moments of self-doubt or setbacks, how do you keep motivated? How do you stay motivated to try new things or try a new project? Even with the kids you were working with, how do you keep motivated to keep pushing past the setbacks to get to the result on the other side?
I can talk about that super recently. So with network marketing, you have to continually grow your business, right? So you're continually bringing new people in and making new sales and so the last few months have been, I feel like I've been stagnant. And I'm like, I'm still at the same place that I've been at, but I'm like, I just want growth. Like, I don't want to be a diamond anymore. I want to move to 1-star diamonds. Like, I want to push further. So what can I do? And I found another company that I wanted to start utilizing their products and then sharing their products. So I'm not building a team like I am with the other side. But I'm like, I need to find something else that I can bring to my page that will create more value and will bring more people. And so I started using a new skincare line. Well, I can't talk. A new skincare line. And I started to do affiliate links, which I haven't done before. I've always just focused on one company. I've just always been with Amari. But now I'm going to branch out and I'm going to start sharing like more Amazon finds and more, I've been sharing more like mom relatable insight to my page. And then I've started sharing this skincare line that I've been using to just, help with more youthful skin, which I've had
I
great
saw your
results.
before and after the creping on your neck. I was
Oh
like,
my God.
that's awesome. Because you don't look like you. I would have never in a bazillion years thought to myself, well, that Katie, she's got creping on her neck. Like, never. But you like zoomed in on this like perfect angle of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I probably have 20 times worse than that.
Well, I just barely started to notice it, and I'm like, "Okay," and that's why I was like, "Okay, I have to find something," back to my, like, brain, I'm like, "I have to find something to fix this, like, I cannot have this." So that's where I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try this new product. I'm gonna try the affiliate side too. I'm gonna bring people along on my journey just like I did with the other company." And that video that you saw has 1,000,000 views on it.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and I've gained 20,000 followers to my page. So once again, yeah. So once again, isn't that crazy?
That is awesome.
Once again, I've stepped out of my comfort zone, doing something different than what I've done before, which I'm still trying to navigate how to do that. Like, I don't know anything about skincare and makeup. Like, that's never been my strong suit ever. Like, I don't even wear makeup. Luckily, there's like good filter light right now. You can't tell, but like, I don't have any makeup on, and it's amazing. That's how I live my life. So it was so nice to find something that I could share that I didn't feel like I had to like fake or
Right.
it's
It
like
was relatable
yeah, I've had
and
so many
real.
people reach out to me and be like, "You should sell Saint. You should sell Senegence or different like type of makeup companies that are in the same realm." But I'm like, none of that is important to me. It doesn't work for me. But I found a need, found something that I needed to fix in my life, a
Right.
focus for me.
Just
And I
like
was
your
like, okay,
boutique.
yeah, I found a need. I'm gonna now figure out how to utilize that to help my other business, which now I'm hoping to all those new followers, I'm gonna teach them about gut health, and I'm gonna teach them about how to fix their adrenal fatigue and how to work on their stress response and how to work on their nervous system. And yes, I brought them to my page with skincare,
Oh, it's the same crowd. It's the
but
same crowd.
but I'm like,
Because it
once,
matters to you, and you are your brand. So you
yeah,
are your not your brand, your desired client, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because you are truthfully saw there was a need for something for you, truthfully wanted to fix it,
yeah,
and truthfully, right? And then truthfully got the results.
yep,
You are just every woman that's the same as you, same as me, you know? I am when I started doing my branding for Revitalize Womanhood, I'm like, I am my branding. Like I am the women I want to speak to. I mean, yes, there are variations of that, but not really. I mean,
yeah,
if I speak to me, then I will speak to more people, but I'm speaking to me. When I record these episodes, I do it for me. When I reach out to someone and I want to hear their story, I'm doing it because I want it for me. And I know that that's going to ripple out because
yeah.
I am every woman that is the same as me. Does that make sense?
Well, and people are just so attracted to authenticity. And I think
Right.
that that's what's important with sales too, is you can share all of these different things. Like I could have shared 1,000,000 different things, but I needed to share something that was authentic to me. And I feel like that's why I've had the response is I'm just being authentic in myself and what's important to me. And it goes right back to finding your purpose and monetizing it. What's important to you? Is it you love knitting on your porch and you love to make blankets for cats? Like whatever it is, share that authentically and you will find a way to monetize it. Whether it's
You'll
you,
find your people too.
yeah, and you truly can monetize anything that is important to you. And if you share the importance, people will come.
How, in your opinion, I think we've touched on this a little bit, but I want to ask it directly so that they hear the question and hear the answer. How can women empower themselves to prioritize self-discovery and personal growth through experimenting with the different hobbies and
I was
different
just going to
career
say, try
paths?
new things.
Yeah, yeah, like
So
what is a way to just kick yourself in the butt and say, get out there?
I think, first of all, like sitting down and asking yourself, like, what do I like to do? Because so many
Mm,
times, if someone said, like, I just barely was talking to my husband about this. If someone said to me, like, who are you outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife, and outside of Amari? Who are you? And me, or even like if you were writing a bio about yourself, it's something I still struggle with. And I was telling him, I'm like, okay, I got to think about what I like. Like, I really enjoy going out to dinner and experiencing restaurants and experiencing new foods. I really enjoy playing games, like getting down to what you like to do And then what do you want? Like, what is something that you want to try? Like, what's something that's on your bucket list that you've never done before? Or what are things that are important to you? What are values? Like writing lists down and then putting those together, like what I did before. Like, I want to find something that matches with um, feeling a sense of need and helping people, and something that isn't like the mental health realm. Like, trying new things is so important. When I was in college, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to be or grow, what I wanted to be when I grew up. I didn't
Right.
know what I was in college for when I was first getting my associate's degree. So I literally took classes because you have like your electives that you can do. So I took classes in all different things. And that's when I figured out that I really like psychology. And that if you aren't willing to try new things, you're never going to figure out what it is that you like. Because we are always figuring out who we are. It's not set in stone that, oh, we only like these things. And like you said before, we have different seasons too. There's different seasons in your life that you're going to be doing different things. Like, I feel like I had a season that was all about retail, and it taught me a lot of things. And now I'm in a different season where it's all about mental health and coaching and helping women bring money to their families. And I'll probably be in a new season later. Like, I'm hoping one day I'll have a season of travel because I love traveling,
Right.
but I'm not there right now. That's not where I'm at. So
I love that you're emphasizing that it's okay.
yeah, it's okay.
It's we are so, I think, conditioned to think, okay, I want to do this. It needs to happen in the next month.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It
Yeah.
doesn't need to happen in the next month. Sometimes it does. I've been doing Revitalized Womanhood for 2 years, and it's still nowhere near what we thought when we first started it, what the other owner and I thought. It was like, nope, this had a completely different road to take. Women weren't responding the way we thought, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't change the fact that I'm still doing it and I love it and it brings me fulfillment and purpose and joy, right? So I think women need to recognize that there is conditioning at play here, and that we need to rewire our brains and what we've been taught and what the expectations we've been taught, what we're supposed to expect of ourselves. I love that you brought up asking yourself those questions. I just actually, my last Friday episode was not a normal podcast episode. It was like a discovery session for coaching. It was like I asked like 18 questions, and I'm like, here's your call to action. I want you to answer these questions honestly as you can, and without thinking about your husband, without thinking about your kids, without thinking about what your mother's going to think of you, without thinking what people on social media will think of you, without like you.
Yeah.
These questions are only about you. And then write them down and then answer them again in a month. Answer them again in 3 months. Do they change? It's just like what you're saying. You have got to figure out what it is that makes you excited, what it is that makes you happy, what it is that, so we might think something's bringing us joy and then really be like, if this was cut out of my life forever, would I care?
Yeah.
No. You might be the person that you think you love when everyone calls on you to help and pitch in and volunteer at the school or whatever at church. And then, so you're doing it all the time, and you think you love it. But then if you really sit back and think about it, it's like, do I? Do I
Yeah.
love being pulled in so many different directions and being spread so thin that I'm fighting with my husband and I can barely get dinner on the table and my kids are always like the last to see me, whatever, right? I mean, you're thinking of it in one way as it's a good thing because you're helping, but really at what detriment?
I think so often too, another thing to remember is a lot of times we get invited to do things that are outside of our comfort zone, and we don't say yes because we're too nervous. So I think saying yes to new things is important too. Like, something as simple as like someone inviting you to go play pickleball.
Yeah.
Or something as simple as I don't know, like joining them at some type of like work fair or something. But just going and experiencing new things is going to teach you the new things that you like about yourself. Maybe you didn't love pickleball, but maybe you loved hanging out with that group of women that you didn't really know. And then you start hanging out with them, and then you learn about a business that they're doing and you want to join in on that. Like, you just never know where these opportunities are going to come from. But if you stay stuck in what you're doing, you're not going to find them.
Yeah,
So
100%.
saying yes to new things is so important too. I mean, don't do something that's like a full body hell no, but it's like, I'm curious about that. Like, I think staying curious, that's another good thing. Like, stay curious about things. Like, I think that I was taught once that the antidote to fear is curiosity. And
I love that.
so if you truly are fearful about something, change the fear and get curious about it. Why am I fearful? Ask questions. Like, what is it that I'm so scared of? What's the worst case scenario that could happen? And
Yeah,
then
it's usually just because it's unknown.
Exactly. So when you change it to curiosity, then it really is going to change it for you and kind of change like the intention around it. And it's going to make it easier to actually follow through or do something that you're scared of.
Yeah, commit to it.
Yeah.
I have two more questions before we wrap this up. What role do you feel like having support from your family and loved ones plays in encouraging women to really explore new areas of, whatever their passion, or just being creative or being curious? What effect do you think having a support system has on that?
Okay, so I might have a different answer for this than what you would expect.
Mm.
I think that your family can be anyone that you choose your family to be. So I think that yes, we have family by blood, but I think loyalty brings family too. So I think that you can have a friend group that can bring support to you. So I think something that is so important for women is surrounding yourself with women that you're inspired by and women that will support you because they are doing the things that you want to be doing. And so, yes, family support, especially when it comes to like having a babysitter or people who can help out if you have something like this, like someone invites you to do a podcast, which can go back to the fearful thing, like so scary. So having family support to help you when you need help for things. But I think even bigger than that is creating a support system that is the type of people you want to be. So if you are hanging out with people who are in a situation that you don't want to be in, or people who are stuck, and if you're trying to level up, it's going to be really hard for you to level up. So if you want to be a top entrepreneur, if you want to be running a business, like hang out with women who are doing those things because they will inspire you to be better and to do better. And
if you want to be outgoing,
even
hang out with people that are outgoing.
100%.
It doesn't have to be as big as business or entrepreneur leadership. I mean, it does, but it doesn't have to be.
That has been one of the greatest things that I've done for myself is I have stopped hanging out with people that are stuck in places I don't want to be. And I've started hanging out with women who have leveled, women who inspire me to be more than just sit at home and complain about home life and complain about the cleaning and complain about their husband not helping them. No, I'm hanging out with women who are doing all of those things, and they have businesses, and they're supporting their friends and family. They're doing all of these things, and that's who I want to be, so that's who I'm hanging out with. And I think that is so important. So, yes, you have blood family, but also you can pick who you want that second set of family to be, and I suggest you pick people who are inspiring you.
I just posted Ellen, is it Pompeo? How do you say her name, from Grey's Anatomy? I just reposted. She did an interview and she was talking about when she had this significant award or breakthrough or whatever. And she said, the people who I expected to cheer for me Not even a peep. Not
Yeah.
even a peep. And I was getting calls and texts and cheers from random strangers, just, random people in the industry who were seeing what I was doing. And I was like, that's so interesting because Rick and I had that same situation when we very first left and went traveling. And we had been out for a couple years and we had all of these people who were supposed to be our best friends unfollowing us, like because of their own issues with it, because of their own drama behind it. But it was hard to recognize that that was their own drama. It took some growth on our own part to realize that that was their own drama and not ours. And I mean, family that was even saying nasty things like, what? We're just over here trying to live our life and it's affecting you in a way that it's creating negativity. Like, you should be wanting to support us. And that was a really hard thing to recognize or realize, that it's not about pleasing them.
Yeah.
It's about living in a way that makes us happy, that we think is right. And I think once you realize that and once you can let go of that and you can create those good, healthy boundaries around people like that are just going to bring you down, you are going to be so much better off.
Yeah. That's why my answer is that way, because I have had a lot of
The
I've had a lot
opposite.
of yeah, like I have had a lot of people who aren't supporting me in multiple areas in my life. And I realized that just because someone's family, it doesn't mean that they can treat you badly. It doesn't mean that you have to accept that. Like, create boundaries. And if you want and you need support, find someone who's going to bring that to you. It doesn't have to be a family member. You can find other people who are going to support you. And it might be hard to find that. And it might be that you find someone that's supportive and is someone that you want to amplify on social media. And that's someone that you're like, you know what, I want to be like them. And you're following their posts and you're looking at the way that they're running their household. And those can be people that are bringing you up and supporting you and helping you. And
Yeah.
it can be different than what you would think it should be.
Be inspired.
Yeah.
We had a saying, because when we were traveling, when we are traveling, we'll get people that say, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. And not in a bad way, right? Just our friends like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. And it's like, I started saying, because what do you say to that? Like, yeah, you should be. No, that's not how we feel. It's like, well, don't be jealous. Be inspired. Be motivated. If you are jealous of this, do it. Figure out how to do it. And just like seeing a woman that's running her household a certain way, ask her. Oh, like my husband always says, get mentors. Get mentors. Ask people. Like, if you want a specific body, if you're at a gym and you want to work out and you want a specific body, like, say I want to put inches on my butt. Like, I'm going to see a girl at the gym. I'm not going to let her walk by and be like, okay, can I ask you what workouts you're doing? I'm going to ask her, you know?
Yeah.
That's in anything, if you see someone on social media that's doing something that inspires you, ask them how they did it. Say, I would like to do that. I have a girl in my community, a woman in my community. I keep saying girl, woman in my community that they've decided to sell everything and go RV life. And I'm like, you freaking love it.
Yeah.
Like,
Awesome.
that is amazing, but that takes, cojones. Okay,
Yeah.
I have one last final words. What final words of encouragement or inspiration would you offer to women who are on a journey of self-exploration and seeking to cultivate their unique passions alongside their other roles?
That's such a good topic for my life in the last 2
That's
years.
why I picked you to talk about this.
And you didn't even tell me what we were going to talk about beforehand. So
You
it's so
inspired me just from me. See, that's what I mean. Just from me diving into your Instagram, because we haven't talked for years, it inspired this podcast episode.
Well, I feel like that has been my whole goal. Like I said before, is I had a need. I was going through a very traumatic, hard situation. and I wanted to find safety for myself, and that was in the form of purpose. And I think so many women are in that same situation. And so it goes back to what we were saying before. Try new things. Step out of your comfort zone. You're not going to have any growth in your comfort zone. Say yes to new experiences. And I think another really big thing that I learned along the way is that we are so much more powerful than we think we are. And we can do so much more than we give ourselves credit for. We are getting through hard situations every single day. Look back. I made it through it before. I'm going to make it through it again. I'm going to come out the other side. I'm going to be stronger for it. And I think lots of times we get caught up in the day-to-day of motherhood, and it can get so overwhelming and we get so overstimulated. But I think just take a second, even if it's 10 minutes before your kids wake up or 10 minutes before they go to bed. Focus on what's important to you. What do you want in this life? What steps can you take to get to that version of you that you want to be? And then take those things that you're writing down and work towards them. Because you truly, every single one of us has so much to offer. And so often we get stuck in the day-to-day that we're not giving back and we're not offering all of those gifts to people. So does that answer? Is that a good
Yeah. Or we're
question?
not offering those gifts to ourselves.
Oh, 100%.
We're not embracing those amazing gifts that we have inside of us to use to benefit ourselves. Because I mean, that's the overarching goal is take good care of yourself, and automatically you will be able to take better care of the people you love.
Yeah.
That's the underlined in everything I say, everything I do. That's the message.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here with me. Where can everybody come and find you and check out your happy juice and your neck crepe stuff?
all of the awesomeness that I have on my page. I have all sorts of random stuff, but my Instagram is Katie.wellness.within. So it started as Katie Safety Within, and it turned to Wellness Within because I think that it all is under the whole funnel of wellness. I mean, I think that's what we're all searching for. So
amazing. We'll put that in the show notes so nobody has to really think too hard about it, but they can find it there.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks.
Was fun.
Well, yeah, it was fun. It was a really good conversation. I really know that it landed exactly where it needed to land. There's someone out there that just got super inspired to do something that they've been waiting to do.
That is like inspiring. Like, I love having conversations. Please reach out to me. Like, I would love nothing more than for someone to be like, hey, this is what I like to do. Help me figure out how I can monetize this, or help me figure out how I can step into my power. You know, like that's what I live for. I love it. I love the coaching and the just helping people redirect and reframe, and I love it. So please reach out.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.